जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणलिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते ईशा गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्ते काञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी शुभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च नानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले रघुनाथ स्वामी पादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश मुखम करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरं हरि ओम। हरे कृष्ण। So hope all of you had a wonderful Janmashtami and Prabhupada Appearance Day celebrations. Uh, the next big festival is Sri Radhashtami. It's on the 11th of September. We are continuing our discussions on the Chaitanya Pravaha series. We are continuing our discussions on the Madhya Lila chapter 15. It's a very beautiful chapter. The chapter itself is entitled as The Lord Accepts Prasadam at the House of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So, as I mentioned yesterday, in terms of what this chapter covers, it's a pretty long chapter, 300 odd verses. Two-thirds of this chapter deals with how the devotees, after the Rath Yatra celebrations, after the 4 months were over of the various festivities, Rath Yatra and the Janmashtamis and the Radhashtami and the Diwali and so on. Finally, long vacation over in Puri, 4 months. All the devotees practically relocated to Puri Dham. Cannot even imagine how wonderful it must have been. 4 months in Puri Dham, Jagannath on one side and Mahaprabhu on the other. All the time with Jagannath and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The stationary Lord and the dancing Lord, both there. In the Puri Dham, personally associating with the Lord. And finally the time came and they were all taking the permission from the Lord to go back. The Lord instructed all the devotees that this is a very good way for us to be together. Every year you should come. Every year 4 months vacation. Nowadays modern working life is such that barely 10-15 days in a year you can even get official leave. And some of us have to sneak in sick leave when we need additional leave here and there. So to think of 4 months leave, today's time, if we ask for 4 months leave from our boss, they'll say, okay, better you stay at home only. So anyway, those times were different, and that's why those who are serious about spiritual life in olden times, in those days it was much easier. Life was much more simple. Life has got much more complicated now, Charyuga. Of course, there are various benefits. I don't intend to go into that discussion uh, so much, but one obvious benefit is we are sitting across countries right now, some of us, but we are still together discussing Harikatha. This was never seriously possible. Even when Shukadev Goswami personally spoke the Bhagavad, all the great personalities across the universe physically came and gathered in Naimisharanya to hear the class. If it happened, if it were to happen now, we would all log into YouTube live stream without having to travel. Of course, most of the audience are such great sages that they could fly and appear in that place with their lives. But for ordinary common people like us, uh, this is an interesting trade-off. While life has become difficult in one way, accessibility of books, classes, devotees, connectivity has also improved. It depends on us how we use the technology that the current uh, situation of the world has come. Anyway, so devotees were heading back, and much of this chapter is about how the Lord interacts with each of these devotees personally to bid farewell to them. So, in our culture, in the Vedic culture, when a guest comes, receiving the guest is an elaborate ritual. I don't want to go into that because we don't have time. It's an elaborate ritual, how one should receive. The bottom line of that ritual is that one should show so much happiness to see that person as if there could have been nothing greater that could have happened in life than to see that particular individual, and especially all more so if it was a devotee. So, Atiti Devo Bhava, treat them as if they are representatives of the Lord and serve them and please them in all ways. Similarly, when we see a devotee who is visiting us, then there is also a ritual. And many of us have seen this in our elders, in our parents, especially those who are from the Indian culture, have seen that when you send them off, also you speak such loving words that, make them feel as if their going away is such a painful thing for us. Of course, not right. Ideally, it should be done with great earnest, great earnest. But that's the culture. So the Lord was meeting the Lord for the Lord, each and every one of these devotees. These are not ordinary sadhakas. These are very, very dear, pure devotees. Most of them are eternal associates. The Lord has such beautiful, heartfelt conversations. He speaks with Nityananda, gives him instructions. So with each devotee, he expresses some appreciation, and to many of them, he gives some personal instruction. This is what we want, right? When we meet our spiritual master. Of course, we are not saying that the spiritual master should glorify us, but when we go to the spiritual master, when we share about what services we are doing, the spiritual master utters some words of encouragement. It gives us so much spiritual energy. So appreciation is a very wonderful culture. Appreciation is a very important culture. Of course, when it comes from our elders, even more so. But even otherwise, even amongst equals, it's a very important culture of Vaishnava appreciation. So the Lord spoke to many of these devotees, and we went through a lot of these individuals. He spoke to Advaita Acharya, he spoke to Nityananda Prabhu, and he was glorifying his mother, Sachi Devi. When he was speaking to Srivas Thakur, bade farewell, when he spoke about Mother Sachi and he was having very fond remembrances of Mother Sachi, and he said how he always appears in her home to eat whatever she cooks. Similarly, appears whenever Lord Nityananda performs dancing. He eats whatever Raghav Pandit cooks. So, like this, very beautifully, Lord Chaitanya reveals how he makes his Avirbhav manifestations when these devotees perform the beautiful pastimes. So, beautiful pastimes have been narrated. Raghav Pandit's intense diligence and meticulousness in serving the Lord and worshipping the deity, and that beautiful pastime with the coconut, how he was so very obsessed almost, for a lack of a better word. Obsessed is a negative connotation, but was so pakka that, the Lord should be given so much the very best. But even thinking that some dust which may have touched the ceiling, which may have touched the dust from the feet of individuals, which may have touched the ceiling, which may have touched the hand, which has touched the coconut, may have contaminated the coconut. So he literally, his most expensive coconuts, he literally disposed them. So Lord Chaitanya was glorifying Raghav Pandit's cooking. Raghav Pandit and his sister Damayanti, very, very expert cooks. The best amongst the chefs in the association of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya would especially relish. It is said Lord Raghav Pandit and Damayanti would regularly make various items for Lord Chaitanya, and sometimes Lord Chaitanya was not able to honor them immediately, and he would just tell his servant Govinda, keep them on the side. Now, this is not mentioned in this chapter, I'm just sharing with you. And it is said, because of the pure devotion of Damayanti and Raghav Pandit, whatever offerings would be made by them, even if they were kept aside, and mind you, there was no fridge, no microwave in those days, no food preservatives. Even after 3-4 days, even sometimes after a week, the Lord would say, tell Govinda, bring that item which Raghav Pandit had cooked. He said that item would be still fully fresh for Lord Chaitanya to taste. So these are all matters of the spiritual energy. All this is possible. These are things not to be imitated. Neither should we attempt such things, nor should we eat such things. Unless they are cooked by Raghav Pandit, then you can eat. Anyway, of course, in theory, Mahaprasad of the Lord is never spoiled. So spiritually, that principle is true. Of course, the food can get decomposed, but the spiritual potency of Mahaprasad is never lost. So sometimes, I mean, this is just a side note, but sometimes in extreme situations where some Mahaprasad, very, very special Mahaprasad, happens to have decomposed or become not so fit for consumption, even then the spiritual potency is not lost. So sometimes, devotees, what they do, just take a small grain from it and honor it as Mahaprasad to respect it without eating the full serving, because it will still affect at a bodily level in an adverse way. So the rest may be offered, either placed into running water or put at the root of a tree, or offered, if it is not too, if it is too spoiled, then like that. Otherwise, it may be offered to an animal who, if it is consumable by them. So, after having embraced Raghav Pandit, the Lord next spoke to Shivananda Singh. Shivananda Singh was a very, very special devotee of Lord Chaitanya. He's a Grahastha, a very mature senior person. So, in the congregation of devotees, he was like, like a father figure there. He, his wife, uh, and he had a few children. He was quite an elderly person. He was especially a very fatherly figure, a very good organizer, very good manager. So he would take care of all the devotees. In fact, he was famous for being the yatra organizer. Organizing yatras is one of the most difficult services one can do, because it's about arranging transport, logistics, prasadam for everybody, and things go wrong, which are beyond your control. Still, you have to somehow manage, make things work. And when things go wrong, oftentimes devotees will chastise you, even though it is not your fault. Still have to digest all of that and continue to serve with enthusiasm. So some services are not, they look glamorous from the outside, but actually it's a lot of, there's a lot of tolerance and a lot of genuine service attitude. That's the way most services at higher levels are. They seem glorious, seem glamorous, but serious responsibility comes with serious headache. Of course, when we take headache on behalf of Krishna, taking that headache is actually a source of purification. That is true. And one should do it in that spirit. Just so that we realize, sometimes we wonder, why certain people are accorded a certain level of respect. Because they are taking significant responsibility on behalf of Guru and Krishna. So Shivananda Sen was such a personality. And when anything important needed to be managed, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would tell Shivananda Sena, can you take care of this? Can you take care of this? Can you help in this area? So in this time, Lord Chaitanya, he turned to Shivananda Sen, and one devotee, Vasudeva Datta from Bengal, he had come. And Lord Chaitanya told Shivananda Sen, take care of this Vasudeva Datta very nicely. That this Vasudeva Datta is actually so liberal, he's actually such a soft-hearted, compassionate devotee. Whatever money he earns, doesn't earn a lot, but whatever little he earns, he spends it away in Krishna's service. He doesn't keep any balance. The Grahastha is supposed to save. He doesn't save anything. And because he doesn't save anything, he gets himself into difficulty. So you must guide him. Huh? Actually, he'll not even listen to you if you try to guide him, because he's so simple and detached. I instruct you, you should take care of his finances. You become his banker. Whatever money he earns, he should give to you, and you manage his expenses. Huh? So you become his financial planner, his treasurer, everything you become. So please take care of the affairs of the family of Vasudeva. Become his manager. And one more service. Every year, please bring all these devotees, what I just mentioned. The seva was assigned to Shivananda Singh. Your seva. Every year, you bring all these and you manage all the related setup. So that was a blessing. So the Lord's blessing comes in the form of instructions for service. So the wealth of a devotee is to get more and more confidential services towards Guru and Krishna. And that is the way to become dear personality of God. So also interesting lesson for us from this pastime, this particular instruction, is that just because one is devotee, if one is callous in his material affairs, doesn't mean that material nature will spare him or her from issues and problems. A person as great as Vasudev Dutt, and for your information, Vasudev Dutt is There are beautiful pastimes of Vasudev that we'll discuss later, but he's an eternal associate of the Lord. He's so compassionate that actually he's an incarnation of Prahlad Maharaj. So even for such great devotees, what to speak of us, if they are not careful about dealings in the material world, then there will be problems. That's precisely what Lord Chaitanya tells Sarvam Bhattacharya. He's not taking care of his money affairs properly. That's why he does get repeatedly into problems and he gets into anxiety to manage his family affairs. You please help him in that. So this kind of help to devotees, and this is what we talk about counseling, this emotional counseling, financial counseling, marriage counseling, whatever nature of counseling and support and help that we may offer to a devotee. The ultimate objective is not that material affair. The ultimate objective is so that the devotee can peacefully execute his Krishna consciousness. It's a supporting service. So this seva is also very, very dear to the Lord. When we support and help other devotees continue their services and develop their services in a very nice, meaningful way. So lesson for us also. We are, of course, very far away from Vasudeva Datta standard. Sometimes devotees tend to think, oh, I'm a devotee. I will just, my material affairs. To hell with it. I am Krishna's devotee. Krishna will take care. So sometimes you become rash, become negligent in taking care of our material affairs. We become lazy. I'm giving various adjectives, sometimes indifferent, lazy. But things don't quite work like that. You'll see that in the lives of devotees, whether it's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita or elsewhere. Krishna expects us to manage our material affairs also with due diligence. Material nature otherwise will act and problems will come our way. So we have to be daksha. Devotees, sadhakas have to be daksha in both material and spiritual affairs. And wherever we may be lacking, we should take help from those who can actually help and guide us. All ultimately with the objective of peacefully executing Krishna consciousness. That's our objective. Our objective is not to become a billionaire or be the best at anything material. If somehow one is blessed, one can exercise one's propensity in that way in Krishna's service, but that is not our primary goal. And when we don't do that, we often get into problems. And many devotees create a lot of disturbance in their own lives because of not being mature in terms of understanding these simple things. Krishna consciousness of being a devotee is not a license to be careless about one's interaction in the material world. Material world will bite back if one has that kind of an attitude. So Shivanand Sen was given this seva, take care of Vasudeva Datta's affair. After that, Lord Chaitanya met with the devotees of Kulinagram. Kulinagram is a village, Bengal, and quite a few exalted devotees from Kulinagram come. And we had discussed this in the previous chapter. Lord Chaitanya had instructed those devotees of Kulinagram that they should take up the seva of making silken ropes to carry Jagannath, because those ropes and the pillows had given way during the Rath Yatra ceremony. Lord had instructed, so the Lord reminded them again. Please remember, every year you should come. Every year bring silken rope, carry Lord Jagannath during this Rath Yatra festival. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu referred to these Kulinagram Vasis and he said, the great devotee Gunaraj Khan, it's a great devotee by the name of Gunaraj Khan, he has compiled this book, Shri Krishna Vijaya. I have that book, Sri Krishna Vijay. It's a very interesting book by Gunaraj Khan. So Khan here is doesn't mean a Muslim. Khan was a title. The title Khan doesn't necessarily is not actually the property of the Muslims, but in olden times, quite a few, even amongst the Hindus, title Khan was there. Satyaraj Khan, Gunaraj Khan. So we will hear that name in many Buddhimanta Khan, even amongst Lord Chaitanya's associates. So this Gunaraj Khan had written a book by the name of Sri Krishna Vijay, Victory of Lord Krishna, in which Lord Chaitanya mentions there is such a beautiful statement which Gunaraj Khan has made that through that statement I can understand how much attachment or ecstatic love Gunaraj Khan has for Krishna. And what is that statement? Lord Chaitanya reveals. Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, is my life and soul. Mora Prananath. Nanda Kumar, Krishna. Nanda Kumar is my Prananath. Just by saying that in all earnest from his heart, by writing that in the book, this Gunaraj Khan has purchased me. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. Because he believes he is Krishna's property, by saying that I am Krishna's property, I have become purchased by him. Very interesting. Huh? So when we develop the consciousness of being a property of Krishna, then Krishna develops the attitude that I belong to this devotee. I am the property of this devotee. It's very reciprocal, very interesting. You cannot win over Krishna, Krishna Vijay. Saying, Krishna, I'm going to capture you. And then, you have to be my servant. The devotee becomes Krishna's servant in all earnest. And as a reciprocation of love, Krishna becomes the servant of his devotee. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says something very, very interesting. This is very interesting for us to note as sadhakas. He says, what to speak of Gunaraj Khan? I am indebted to all the residents of Kulinagram because Gunaraj Khan is from that village. What to speak of all of you residents of Kulinagram who have come here? Even a dog living in the village of Kulinagram is dear to me. What to speak of anybody else? Amazing. Lord Chaitanya is saying Gunaraj Khan, because he's such a sold out devotee to Krishna, is so dear to me that the whole village in which he is staying, everybody has become dear by virtue of their connection with Gunaraj Khan. Even the dog in that village is dear to me. Even though the dog has not done anything. Just by that connection with that pure devotee Gunaraj Khan, he has become dear. So what kind of an insight Lord Chaitanya is giving? How much we draw the attraction of Krishna, the attention of Krishna, the blessing of Krishna by being connected, even indirectly, to a great dear devotee. What to speak of those who are closely connected to such a dear devotee of the Lord? And what to speak of those who have taken initiation from such dear devotees and serving such dear devotees of the Lord as their life and soul. So we should not underestimate the potency and the blessings that we attract when we become dear to those who are very dear to the Lord. That is perhaps one of the greatest blessings one can possibly receive. Because always before directly attracting the attention of Krishna, if one attracts the attention and blessings of those who are dear to Krishna, and that is oftentimes much more easily possible as compared to attracting Krishna's attention, then that becomes a wonderful bridge, a wonderful catalyst that attracts Krishna's attention to us. So, after this particular glorification of Gunraj Khan and the residents of Kulinagram, uh, two great devotees, they asked a question from Kulinagram. Their names are Ramananda Vasu and Satyaraj Khan. So all the residents of Kulinagram were gathered. Lord Chaitanya was glorifying their association with Guru Raj Khan, and Ramananda Vasu and Satyaraj Khan asked Lord Chaitanya. Satyaraj Khan humbly presented a question. Oh Lord, we have a question. That I'm a materialistic person, I'm an ordinary householder. I do not know what is the process of spiritual advancement. Please give me your instructions. How, as a householder, as a businessman, as a professional, as an employed person who's making his livelihood, how I should make spiritual advancement. Very important question. Huh? He's asked this question on behalf of us. Satyaraj Khan has asked this question on behalf of us. So please hear the answer with great attention. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, very simple instruction. He said, for you, always chant the holy names of Krishna. First instruction. And whenever possible, serve Krishna and his devotees, the Vaishnavas. Very simple. That's all. Two instructions it took. Chant the holy name as far as possible, ideally without cessation, whenever you get a chance, because you'll be busy with so many duties, your profession, managing your family, so and so and so. Worship the Lord, serve the devotees. Chant Hare Krishna, worship the Lord, serve the devotees. You do this, you will attain perfection. This is all for you. No need for you to do big things, tapasyas and this and that. Take care of your family, do your profession, chant the holy name whenever possible, do your sadhana, even otherwise as you're going about doing your day-to-day duties. You're going to your workplace, chant Hare Krishna. In between activities, chant Hare Krishna. Wherever you get time, chant Hare Krishna. Then, when you're at home, when it's possible to worship the deities, worship, offer Naivedya, eat Krishna Prasad. Whenever you get a chance to associate with Vaishnavas, serve them, invite them for Prasad, render service to them in whatever way. Render them service by feeding them, render them service by taking care of their personal needs. In some cases, one can actually serve Vaishnavas by guiding them and instructing them also, especially if the Vaishnavas are junior to us. So there are many ways. So through these three ways, chanting Hare Krishna, worshipping the Lord, and serving the Vaishnavas. So Satyaraj Khan immediately asked a counter question to Lord Chaitanya. How do I recognize a Vaishnava? Who's a Vaishnava? He said, serve a Vaishnava. Please let me know what a Vaishnava is. What are his symptoms? And immediately Lord Chaitanya gave a quick one-line answer. Whoever chants the name, holy name of Krishna, even just once, is worshipable and is the topmost human being. So amongst the common people, those who chant the name of Krishna are considered, and especially those who are able to understand that the Lord and his name are non-different. Nama namino abhinnatvam. And in that way, with that understanding, they are able to chant Krishna's name. offenselessly even once, if one chants the holy name of the Lord without offense, one will be cleared of all sinful reactions. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu proceeds to give us small class on chanting the holy names. He says the chanting of the holy name is such a powerful process that it completes the seva which is offered by all other of the 8 processes of devotional service. Correct? The Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Arshanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. It is such an important process that all other processes, including deity worship, including performing any yajna, any seva, everything should be preceded and followed by chanting of the holy names. Chanting of the holy names as the Yuga Dharma is such a very essential element of spiritual practice, especially in Kali Yuga. The wonderful thing is, while so many other performance of rituals and worship and other things require certain pre-purificatory rituals and certain pre-qualifications which are known as Purascharya, sometimes even initiation is needed for performance of certain activities. For chanting the holy name, there is no need. To begin the chanting of the holy name, there is no need for any Purascharya or initiation. Anybody can start. Even the lowest person, Chandala, can start. Because simply by chanting the holy name, even if a person is at the lowest level, gradually all his material entanglements will get dissolved. Eventually, one will develop one's attraction to Krishna and his dormant love for Krishna will be awakened. So the holy name is so powerful. It can give the lowest person the highest thing. The holy name is not dependent on any other process. It is fully self-sufficient. And because chanting the holy name is so powerful, especially chanting without offenses is so powerful, that anyone who's regularly chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is to be understood to be a Vaishnava. And therefore, you should offer all respects to him. Essentially, Lord Chaitanya is saying when he is talking about serving Vaishnavas, anybody who is regularly chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, especially with the right understanding of the spiritual truth, that the name and the Lord is non-different, not with the Mayavadi spirit, but with this understanding. Vaishnavas, they are worthy to be respected and worthy to be served. The rest should serve all such Vaishnavas. Whether they are more advanced than him, whether they are equal to him, or whether they are junior, it doesn't matter. According to one's relationship and according to their stature, one can still serve them in various ways. Actually, this particular section is very interesting. There are a lot of beautiful, deep purports which Srila Prabhupada has given in connection to the holy name. We don't have time because they are doing a Pravah, but I will strongly recommend you to read Prabhupada's purports, these verses, right from verse 103 onwards, all the way up to 111. Prabhupada has given long and elaborate purports on the holy name, where the power of the holy name is glorified, the independence of the holy name to all other processes, and the support that the holy name gives to all other processes. Prabhupada was always very emphatic, and because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was very emphatic, because Jiva Goswami mentions this, the Bhakti Sandarbha, that every other activity of devotional service must be preceded and followed. So even when we install deities, Kirtan before, during and after. When we discuss Bhagavatam, try to do Kirtan before, then Bhagavatam discussion, Kirtan after. So chanting of the holy names Kirtan is very, very central, especially in this age of Kali. So please take this seriously. All of us, almost all of us are Grihasthas here. So these instructions are very important. Again, to summarize, chant the holy names of the Lord as far as possible, worship the Lord, and serve the devotees. If one does this nicely and one avoids being offensive, critical, judgmental of the devotees, then one can actually make very great progress, become very, very near to the. So after instructing and inspiring the residents of Kulinagram in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued and he started then meeting and talking to other devotees. Something interesting I want to mention here, that the residents of Kulinagram asked this question, who's a Vaishnava? They asked this question, who's a Vaishnava? So this time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave them this answer. Anyone who chants Krishna's name even once is a Vaishnava and should be respected. Interestingly, the residents of Kulinagram, when they came back next year, the Rath Yatra, when they were departing, again they met Lord Chaitanya. Again asked Lord Chaitanya the same question. Who is a Vaishnava? At that time, Lord Chaitanya gave a slightly upgraded answer. Then the third year when they came, they again asked the same question. Lord Chaitanya gave a more upgraded answer. Which means that while there are broad ways in which you can consider who is a Vaishnava, there are also more stricter and stricter considerations in terms of identifying who's a more advanced Vaishnava, some most advanced. And while one should serve all categories of Vaishnava, if one is fortunate enough to get the opportunity to serve the highest category, the Paramahamsa Mahabhagavad Vaishnava, then one's good fortune knows no bounds. What can be more glorious than that? Anyway, so those will come in the chapters later, so I'm not going to go through that now. But I just wanted to mention this note. It's not mentioned here in this chapter. This was the first year, so the first time this question was asked. Then Lord Chaitanya turned his attention to three devotees from the place known as Khanda, Shri Khanda. And these three great devotees are Mukunda Das, Raghunandan, and Narahari, Shri Narahari. So Raghunandan actually is the son of Mukunda Das. All three are great pure devotees. Mukunda, Raghunandan, and Narahari, out of which Mukunda and Raghunandan are father and son. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Mukunda, the father, you are the father and this Raghunandan is your son. Is that so? Or is it that Raghunandan is your father and you are his son? So everybody there is confused. What kind of question is this? Because everyone knows Mukunda is the father and Raghunandan is the son. Please let me know, Lord Chaitanya, please let me know the facts so I can understand things properly. So Mukunda understood what was the intention of Lord Chaitanya's question. So Mukunda replied, as far as I am concerned, my understanding is very conclusive. Raghunandan is my father and I am his son. Why? Because in terms of devotion to Krishna, Raghunandan is senior to me. In fact, I think that we all family members are getting our devotion by seeing his wonderful example. So that's why in my mind, he's like my father because he's the father of devotion for me. So in that way, Mukunda is actually glorifying Raghunandan. So when Lord Chaitanya heard these words from the mouth of Mukunda, he approved of it. He said, yes, this is correct. one who awakens devotion to Krishna within us, certainly our spiritual master. So Lord Chaitanya in this way was so happy. He was especially happy to glorify the devotees, and he was especially happy to hear the glories of devotees from the mouths of others as well. And Lord Chaitanya would be so excited when he would glorify the devotee. He would do it so much from his heart, not just as a superficial ritual. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says when Lord Chaitanya would glorify a devotee, he would glorify as if he had 5 mouths. And then Lord Chaitanya got so excited to glorify Mukund and Raghunandan. He started telling all the other devotees who had gathered that please hear for me what kind of pure love for Krishna this Mukunda has. His love for Krishna is so deep, is so pure, that it can only be compared to purified gold. See, sometimes even what is the quality of love and faith which is there in the heart of the devotees, sometimes only Krishna, sometimes we are not able to understand by seeing from outside how great who is. Sometimes we are very busy in judging purely based on organizational hierarchy, seniority, number of years. Oh, this person is greater, that person not. Yes, of course, all these considerations are important of a proper formal and social and respect according to social conventions. But ultimately, like what Lord Chaitanya said, Raghunandan is the father of Mukunda. Ultimately, he who has deeper faith and love for Krishna is more advanced. So the Lord is revealing the quality and content of the love of Mukunda's heart to all the other devotees so that it may be known and appreciated. Lord Chaitanya says, this Mukunda was an Ayurvedic doctor. This Mukunda externally appears to be an ordinary doctor, a royal physician. He's engaged in the government service. But internally, he's fully attached to Krishna. It's very difficult to understand the nature of his love and attachment to Krishna. And then Lord Chaitanya tells one story. One day, this Mukunda Das, he was visiting the Muslim king. The Muslim king had his king's throne at a height, and the Das had come there to uh, observe to do some medical checkup for him, and they were discussing about some medical treatment. And as Mukunda was talking to this king, this Muslim king, one of the king's servant brought a peacock fan, and apparently some sunlight was coming on the king. To protect the king from the sun, this particular servant put an umbrella of peacock fan and put it on top of the king's head to block the sun from directly falling on the king. And as soon as he held that peacock fan on top of the king's head, Mukunda Das, who was talking to the king, he saw the peacock fan. And just by seeing that peacock feathered fan, Mukunda suddenly got such a strong remembrance of Krishna by seeing the peacock feather, even though that discussion was nothing to do with Krishna. That peacock fan suddenly brought such a strong remembrance. Mukunda Das went into a sudden surge of ecstasy. And he went into such an ecstasy in such deep remembrance and separation from Krishna that he actually fainted. And because that throne was situated at such a height, Mukunda Das fell down unconscious from a height and fell to the ground. The king was shocked. What happened? This person fell down and he came running down from his height, from his throne, and came and picked up Mukunda Das and said, okay, did you get hurt in any way? And somehow brought him back to external consciousness. And Mukunda felt embarrassed. He didn't say, oh, I went into ecstatic love. cannot understand. I said, no, 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 are you hurt? No, no, nothing, nothing. I'm okay, I'm okay. Oh, what happened? What happened? Tell me. Oh, he didn't want to say anything. He didn't want to tell him ecstatic love and all this. So he just said, no, no, sometimes I get this kind of epileptic fits. So I got this epileptic fit and that's why I fell down. But the king was a very, very intelligent person. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that the king understood that this person is not an ordinary person. He has very deep love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the king understood that this Mukunda is a very exalted, liberated person. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is narrating this particular episode in glorification. Then starts glorifying Raghunandan, the son of Mukunda. He says, Raghunandan, he is so much always continuously engaged in serving Krishna in the temple. Because in Mukunda's house, there was a temple, and initially Mukunda would worship, but later on, Raghunandan was regularly worshipping these deities. Besides this entrance to this particular temple, there's a very beautiful lake, and every day that lake, which is on the banks of a Kadamba tree, produces two very beautiful lotus flowers. And every day Mukunda picks up those lotus flowers and offers them at the lotus feet of Radha Gopinath. So, amazing thing, right? From an external perspective, how Lord Chaitanya knows all this. But of course, as the Supreme Lord, as the Paramatma in the heart of everybody, he knows everything. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then addressed Mukunda and he spoke very sweetly to Mukunda. And he told him, you are a Grahastha Mukunda. Your duty is to earn both material and spiritual wealth. Again, this is an instruction to all Grahasthas. So earn spiritual wealth. But as a Grahastha, it's also your duty to earn material wealth. There's no problem. As long as material wealth is earned according to principles of Dharma, engage properly in a spiritual manner to take care of the family, serve the Vaishnavas, worship the Lord, give in charity, etc., etc. Grihastha uh, is supposed to earn both material and spiritual wealth. As far as your son Raghunandan is concerned, always engage him in the Lord's service. He is totally detached. You, at least as a physician, have some inclination for doing your profession and taking care of your family. Then has no inclination for any kind of material affairs, has no other intention than the Lord's service. So let him be engaged in the service of the Lord. So the Lord always thought about each devotee's advancement, their inclination, and he made sure they are properly engaged happily in his service. And the Lord turned to the third devotee from Srikhanda, Narahari. Sri Narahari. And then he ordered Narahari, my instruction to you is, these two devotees, Mukunda and Raghunandan, I'm asking them to go back. But for you, my instruction, you remain here, my devotees. So the Lord gave these different instructions. Then the Lord turned his attention to the two brothers, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya and Vidya Vachaspati. Of course, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya was not going to go anywhere. Still from Puri only, he was going to be in Puri. But the Lord addressed him and spoke to him and his brother, Vidya Vachaspati. Told them very nicely that in this world, today's time, the Lord, the Supreme Lord is manifested in this world in two forms. In the form of wood and in the form of water. In the form of wood, he is manifested as Purushottam Jagannath. In the form of water, he is manifest in the form of Mother Ganga. In this way, the Lord gives an opportunity for all conditioned souls to purify themselves and attain the spiritual world by worshipping him in either of these forms. Either one can see the wooden form of the Lord, or one can bathe in the water form of the Lord, the form of the Ganges. Sarvam Bhattacharya, my instruction to you is worship Jagannath in the form of the wood. And Vachaspati, you worship Mother Ganga, which is the other form of the Supreme Personality. Then there was another devotee, the very famous Murari Gupta, who's also an Ayurvedic physician. So Lord Chaitanya's associates also very learned. His congregation was not just, I mean, there were very simple people also, but quite a few prominent devotees were very prominent personalities. Ramanand Rai, Sarup Damodar, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, Vidya Vachaspati, and all these other, many of these other devotees, Murari Gupta, they're all socially very prominent people as well. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu starts glorifying the devotion of Murari Gupta. Now, there's something very special about Murari Gupta, which I want to mention. Murari Gupta's specialty is, even though he's very attached to the association of Lord Chaitanya and his devotees, his personal attachment in terms of worshipping the Lord is to worship Sri Ramachandra Bhagwan. His Aradhya, his Ishta, Sri Ram, not Sri Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya starts glorifying Murari Gupta. And he tells all the devotees, I want to tell you something about this Murari Gupta. Previously, at one time, I saw that Murari is attached to worshipping Ram. I used to repeatedly preach to him. Krishna is Purna Purushottam. He is the highest full manifestation of the Supreme Lord. You're worshipping Ram, you should worship Krishna. Because the beauty of Krishna is superior. The qualities of Krishna is superior. The ecstasy of worshipping Krishna is superior. The sweetness of the Lila of Sri Krishna is superior. And in that way, I would glorify Sri Krishna and give Shastric quotes to Murari Gupta. Murari Gupta, with great humility, would hear that. So after being told again and again and again, little bit in his mind, there was some thinking that maybe I should make an attempt to follow the instructions of Lord Chaitanya. So it is said that at that time, Murari Gupta told me, "Oh Lord, if that is your instruction, you are the Supreme Lord. I am your servant. I know you are the same Ram. I know you are the same Krishna. If you are instructing me to not worship Ram, you are instructing me to worship Krishna, then I have no choice but to follow you, because I have no independent existence. I am your Sharanagat devotee." So it is said that entire night Murari Gupta was trying to think how he will stop, or how he should stop the worship of Ram and start worshipping Krishna. And he could just not consider the thought or tolerate the thought that he will have to stop worshipping his dear Lord Raghunandan. It is said all night Murari Gupta was crying. And he was praying at the lotus feet of Ramchandra. And finally he said, "So difficult, O Sri Ram, you are my life and soul. How to give up your worship? But you are only instructing me in the form of Lord Chaitanya to give up your worship and worship Krishna. But I just can't remove you from my heart. So please, Lord Ram, I need your help and blessing that I will give up my body and die, because I cannot give up your service." So all night he couldn't sleep and he was crying. So in the morning, Lord Chaitanya is narrating this to all the devotees. In the morning, Murari Gupta came to me and he fell at my feet and he started crying and he told me, "Lord, I have given my life and soul to the feet of Raghunath, Sri Ramachandra Bhagavan. I cannot withdraw my heart from there. At the same time, I cannot give up your instructions because you are the same Lord. So what should I do? The only way I can get out of this situation is for me to end my life. So in that way only I can resolve the situation." So when I heard that prayer by Murari Gupta in this way, I actually became so happy. I became so happy that he was not able to follow my instruction. Because by not being able to follow my instruction, even to the point of death, it showed me how much attachment and devotion Rari Gupta had for Ramachandra. This is the kind of devotion that a devotee must have for his Aradhya. That he will never give up the worship of his Aradhya at any cost in any situation. So fixed, that even if God himself comes and instructs, he cannot give up. So he glorified the example. He didn't criticize him. You lower devotee. They are all worshipping. Just glorifying himself. And he told, you know why you have such attachment for Ram? Because actually you are Hanuman himself. Not an ordinary person. You are an incarnation of Hanuman. You are the eternal servant of Ramachandra. Because you are his eternal servant, actually, what is the need for you to give up service to Ram? Actually, there's no. I was just testing you. I just wanted to bring out the glories of your love for Ramachandra. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told all the devotees, I accept this Murari Gupta as my life and soul. Just look at his humility. His humility is such that it actually disturbs my heart just by seeing his. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. There are a few more pastimes, but few more devotees that the Lord speaks about. But we'll continue them since it's 10:02. We'll continue them in the next class, and hopefully we'll complete that chapter, which is 302 verses. So we're roughly halfway through the chapter. 157. 157. We have completed verses. Jai Murari Gupta ki Jai. Yeah, I'm opening up the floor. Yes, Suresh Prabhu, you have a question?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I don't have a question, but I had one experience today, so just want to understand, Prabhu. So I shared a photo to you, right? Narsinga Dev on WhatsApp. So the frame was spoiled because of ant. So I went to change the frames. So I went to first shop. He was busy. I went to other shop. So this guy was a devotee. He was from the Kumara Sampradaya. He had that beads and tilak, and his name was Prahalad Prabhu. And
Okay.
he in that frame, Narsingadev's frame. So how do I understand this, Prabhu?
Well, yeah, Krishna is helping you meet other devotees. That is wonderful. So there are so many other wonderful devotees, not just in our sampradaya, but there are wonderful devotees across other sampradayas. Must always respect and appreciate each other. Yeah, so that is wonderful. The strength of devotees in Kali Yuga is when we come together. We should focus on the commonalities, not on the difference. That is very much the need of the hour. That was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's process. Even though Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached, especially today we discussed on Murari Gupta as an example. Even though philosophically we know Krishna is the highest form, we are not critical of any devotee worshipping any form of the Lord as long as they are following the proper system according to the scriptures and worshipping with the right understanding. So we want to be broad and not very narrow. Of course, we are attached to our path. We want to follow that perfectly. But we want to respect all others. Somebody is worshipping Ramachandra. If he's worshipping under proper guidance in a proper parampara, that is wonderful. Some devotees are attracted, especially in South India, most devotees are attracted to Lakshmi Narayan's worship or Vishnu's worship. Ranganath Swami, for example, many forms of Lord Vishnu or Lakshmi Narayan. So they are also, they can also be pure devotees. Of course, their destination will be Vaikuntha. One cannot go to Goloka by worshipping Lakshmi Narayan. But if somebody is very attached and fixed up in that worship, we should not be critical. In some cases, Lord Chaitanya has spoken to certain devotees and tried to elevate them. Some who were still not so very strongly attached to a particular Ishta, they graduated worshipping a higher form of the Lord. For example, when Lord Chaitanya went to South India and he was in Sri Rangam, he was in the house of Venkat Bhatta. So Venkat Bhatta also preached the same thing, right? He said, why you are worshipping Lakshmi Narayan? Radha Krishna is a higher form of worship. But his nephew, Gopal Bhatta, he became a Krishna devotee. And he became one of the Goswamis, Gopal Bhatta Goswami. But it is not that Venkata Bhatta necessarily, changed. He was already attached to worshipping in a particular way. So, of course, one can attain the transcendental platform by worshipping any form, bona fide form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But of course, we are so fortunate to have been having given the highest of the highest opportunities, form of the opportunity to attain Krishna Prema, especially in the footsteps of servants of the servants of Radharani. P. Bhartur Padakamalayo or Das Das Das. There is no greater opportunity than that. So for those who are willing and fortunate to accept that, then we will help them in all ways. But if somebody is, for whatever reason, attached to worshipping the Lord in a particular way, we should not criticize. What to speak of devotees of other forms of the Lord? Sometimes some people, because of their material attachments, are attached to worshipping certain devatas. One should not put them down or criticize them negatively. One should try to gently speak to them to try to elevate them to a higher platform. But one should not be offensive either to the devata or to these worshippers. Krishna says, Na buddhi vedam janayat karma sanginam. Those who are still attached to rituals and material benefits will take their time to come to a higher level. But slowly, should try to bring them higher. So, a mature devotee of the Lord is always appreciative of everyone, and according to their level, he sees how to serve them to try to either bring them to a higher level or at least encourage and support them at whatever level they are working on the path of dharma.
Yeah. Prabhu, so this Nimbakacharya Sampradaya, right? So this is at which level, Prabhu? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu level?
What does level, Chaitanya
I
Mahaprabhu
mean,
level mean?
no, he said it's through Kumar Sampradaya. So I just want to know, they worship Nimbakacharya.
Yeah, so there are 4 sampradayas, right? Mara, Rudra, Shri. So Nimbarka also generally worship Radha Krishna. They have a slightly different means of worshipping Radha Krishna. I'm not very familiar with their teachings personally. Of course, for us, we know that even within the realm of worship of Krishna, there are so many moods and so many approaches. For example, even within the Vallabha Sampradaya, they worship Krishna in the form of a Bal Gopal. Their attachment is to worship in Vatsalya. So even within worship of Krishna, there are so many moods. And all are wonderful. But the specific highest gift that Lord Chaitanya has come to give is like what we discussed in the last class, right? Aradhya Bhagwan Brajesh Tanaya Dhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachit Upasana Vrajavadu. The highest form of worship is that of the gopis. And we want to become the servant of the gopis. Ramya Kachit Upasana Vrajavadu. So I am not very familiar with what is the specific mood of the Nimbarka. Because actually our mood is very specifically as the followers of Rupa Goswami to be the servants of Radharani by being the servants of Rupa Manjari. We have a very, very specific family affiliation. Very, very specific line. So there may be so many acharyas, pure devotees I'm referring to, whether they are prominent acharyas or other devotees, represent a particular mood of worship to Krishna, either in Vrindavan, in Dwarka, in Mathura, or to the Lord in any other mood or rasa. And by following that particular eternal associate, one can attain servitude in that mood. Because one can only attain the servitude in the mood of the ones whom one takes shelter of, because they can bring us into the mood. That is the philosophy. Yep. So, based on the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, we know this is the highest possible attainment, because we know Radharani's worship is the highest, but we cannot become Radharani. Yeah. So how do we taste? How do we taste the love between Radha and Krishna? We cannot become Radharani. So what is second best? To be servants of Radharani. But we are not even so exalted to become servants of Radharani. Those positions are also eternal associates. So we become the servants of Radharani, which are the servants of the Manjaris. So the special benediction that those who adopt this mood of becoming servants of the servants of Radharani, especially by becoming servants of the Manjaris, is that they are able to, even without directly contacting Krishna, they are able to experience the intense ecstasies of the union and the confidential affairs of Radha and Krishna simply by being servants of that Lila. This is an attainment which even other gopis cannot attain. So these are very, very confidential things. So what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to offer is the highest. Of course, in one sense, we know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is also the highest because he's not different from Radha and Krishna. But just like we have our faith, different parampara will have their own faith. In theory, each sampradaya will think that they are the most wonderful and they are the best. So that is normal. So it is not so much our job to try to convince them that I am better than you. That is not our job. You should know privately that you have got the highest, but you don't have to have something lower. I have to acknowledge it. Acknowledge that you are lower, I am high. You know? So that's not a path we want to pursue. You understand? Right? So yeah, we respect them, we appreciate them when we meet and interact with them. Whatever common Harikatha we can discuss. They will have their own slightly different variant practices. They will have slightly different emphasis in terms of what is important. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us the highest and the easiest means to attain it, which is simply by chanting of the holy name. So as far as we are concerned, we have full faith that we have the best, both in terms of the goal and the process, and in terms of our worshipable object and also our acharyas. That faith must. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Sorry,
yeah,
interrupt. Yeah, what about the mood of the Brajavasis there in Vrindavan? And why are they chanting Radhe Radhe than rather doing Hare Krishna? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, Radhe, Radhe Radhe and Hare Krishna. Hare is referring to Radharani. It's a little more concealed way to refer to Radharani, more out of respect and not taking things very cheaply. So Lord Chaitanya emphasized that we should chant Radharani's name. What happens is that sometimes when we simply chant Radhe Radhe without properly understanding the position of Radharani, position of Krishna, understanding all spiritual truths, sometimes we There's a strong tendency towards Sahajaism. So one starts taking these things very cheaply, and one starts imitating these things very cheaply. Of course, in terms of Vrindavan is highest, and worship of Krishna in any of the moods is glorious. In Vrindavan, there are 4 rasas. There is Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. Even Dasya there is never pure Dasya there. It is said Dasya there also is generally mixed with some Sakhya. So mainly Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. Sakhya is the Gopas, Vatsalya is the elder Gopas and Gopis, and of course Madhurya is the Gopis, the young Gopis. So everybody is worshipping Krishna according to their mood, but even all the other residents of Vrindavan, even if they're not in Madhurya Ras, everyone knows that ultimately the highest pleasure that Krishna gets is in association with Radharani. Even if they are Gopas, even if they're not directly assisting Radha and Krishna in their pastimes, they are also knowing and understanding that that is ultimately what will please and satisfy Krishna. So, some devotees, will may want to become a Gopa, like Sridama, Subal, become their assistants and serve in the spiritual world. That's fine as well. Some will want to become assistants to Mother Yashoda. Putana attained that destination of being a nurse, by being an assistant to Mother Yashoda. So, any mood in Braj is wonderful, because Vrindavan has a very special mood of very intimate love for Krishna, where sweetness is more prominent than opulence, where Krishna is loved because he is Krishna, not because he is God, not because he is Parabrahman. So that is the special quality of Braj. Braj is wonderful, but within that, the Madhurya is the best, and within Madhurya, the Gopis, and within the Gopis, Radharani is the best. So, in our line, while we chant Hare Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is offering the highest, ultimately based on our own constitutional position, whatever is our rasa, when we become purified, that nature will automatically emerge. So right now we don't know what is our spiritual position, which rasa we are. So eventually, when our material contamination is fully purified, our spiritual form will become revealed. So that happens at the time when the initiation becomes complete. Initiation begins when we accept vows and accept the holy name from the spiritual master. Initiation completes when, by following the process and by following the instructions of the Guru, one becomes fully purified and fully awakened to what one's original constitution is. And then one engages direct service of the Lord based on the realization of that particular spiritual identity. So even amongst the followers of Lord Chaitanya, it is not that necessarily each and every one will be servants of Manjaris. Some may be Gopas, some may be trees, some may be monkeys, some may be cows, and so many other possibilities. In due course, as we become purified, we'll realize our position. Yeah, but at least we should know ultimately what is the highest. Sridhar Prabhu, you have a question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, this Hare Krishna mantra was introduced by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 500 years before, right? So the same mantra was there in the previous yogas as well?
Yeah. The mantra is eternal. The name is eternal. So he popularized the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. He is not the creator of the mantra. since that it was not that it didn't exist before that. Even when Lord Chaitanya appeared on Gaur Purnima day, devotees were chanting Hare Krishna mantra, standing in the Ganges. So the mantra is already mentioned in the Kali Santarana Upanishad, and since time immemorial it is chanted. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Also going back to Anita Mataji's point, it is not that chanting Radhe Radhe is wrong. If you want to chant, let them chant. If their gurus are instructing them to chant in that way, as far as we are concerned, it is the duty of each sadhaka to follow what his gurus and his parampara instructs him to do. That is the way to please Krishna. So while we want to do what we are being instructed, we also simultaneously do not have to start comparing everyone else with what we do and try to judge and criticize. But it's very important to understand the point that Srila Prabhupada was emphasized often, that worship, understanding of Radharani and the gopis and their love is, very elevated subject matter. We have to take Radharani's love name with great respect. Otherwise, people try to think of Radha and Krishna's pastime as if they are ordinary pastimes, ordinary affairs between a boy and a girl, plain boy and a girl. Then one becomes offensive. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Goswamis, they teach us in a way so that we tread that path with caution. Even though we are aiming for the highest, if we are not cautious, we will take something which is very high, cheap. We will misunderstand in our condition stage, commit offenses, and lose the good fortune which is being awarded to us. So it's good that we are a bit cautious. It's good that we are not rushing to chant Radharani's name. Our first business is to humbly follow the instructions of our spiritual masters, chant the holy name the way they have given us, serve the gurus, become purified. Entry into the service of Radha and Krishna is a post-liberation subject matter. So while we want to know this in terms of what our aspiration is, as long as we are sadhakas, we still, even when we worship Radha and Krishna, we are actually worshipping Lakshmi Narayana. Because Radha and Krishna worship is only possible in the mood of raga, the spiritual world, in a platform which is beyond liberation. So that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us a very safe path. Chant the holy name, worship the Lord, serve the Vaishnavas. Remember Krishna in the mood of separation. Don't think I have Krishna. Oh, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Hey Radhe Vrajadevi Kechalalite He Nanda Shunopatah Shri Govardhana Kalpapada Patale Karnindi Vandiko. Even when you go to Vrindavan, the Goswamis were in this mood. What to speak of us? So they are eternal associates. Where is Krishna? Where is Radharani? Are they at the bank of Yamuna? Are they near Govardhan Hill? Are they under some Kalpapada Patale, standing beautifully, Radhe and Sham, under some beautiful Kalpavriksha tree? Where are you? Where are you? Hoshantam miti sarvato vrajapure khedair mahavivalo. They are running around Vraja, crying, where is Krishna? Crying for Krishna. So our path to Krishna is crying for him. So our Acharya say that is the safe way. Fools rush where angels fear to tread. So this is actually very, very high subject matter. fools rush. They start chanting Radhe Radhe, they suddenly think they have become very special. There's a lot of work, spiritual work, to be done before we can enter into any substantial understanding of these topics. Okay, so whatever we have been told and given is wonderful and perfect. Better to be safe than sorry. So we follow Mahaprabhu's process, chant the holy name, worship the Lord, serve the Vaishnavas. It's told for all of us. Very simple. Don't criticize anybody. Thank you very much. Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Okay, another thing, just a reminder. So next week many of us are going for convention, so we'll not have the class. So we'll resume the following week. Yeah. And very likely once we start in October, I'm planning again to go back to the classes Tuesday, Saturday, CC and I'll keep you informed. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Yeah.
Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna,
Jai Ho.
Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you. Tarun, Kavini, Suraj.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Haribol, Puja Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, Krishna Lataji, Hare Krishna. Sriyash, Ankan, Sarvalakshmi Mataji, thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Jai Ho, Jai Ho.
Beautiful. Thank you for a lovely lecture.
Thank you for your kind words.